welcome to Pineapple Talk. I'm Leya, the founder and president of Pineapple Support, a charity set up in 2018 for people working in the adult performance industry. We offer a support text service provided by trained volunteers and an online therapy service staffed by qualified counsellors, psychologists, and psychotherapists.
Hi, and I'm Shelly, and I've been involved with Pineapple Support since its conception.
If you'd like to know more information on Pineapple Support, please visit the website pineapplesupport.org.
So this session is our final one of a 4-part series focusing on bullying. In this time, we're looking back and reflecting on our last 3 sessions, where our guests, Brad, Ari, and Joe, have all generously, I should say, shared their experiences and views.
So yeah, three very different experiences with bullying,
and similar,
and all very similar at the same time. Yeah, and you know, everyone kind of was formed from it, if that makes sense. That, you know, it's been an awful experience, but all 3 very strong from going through it.
And I guess I'm also thinking about in terms of the age group, of course, that in terms of people's ages, that all the people we spoke to, if I use the word mature adult, that sounds a bit, but do you know what I mean? In terms of people are more settled into their life and their way of being.
Yeah.
So I think there's been that scope for them all 3 to reflect back.
Yes.
So I guess I'm just thinking out loud in terms of if we had somebody perhaps in their mid-20s.
It might be a completely different response.
I imagine they still might be evolved. We're always evolving, of course, but kind of working with that. Whereas I think as we get older, we do kind of, we're more able to sit back and be kinder to ourselves as well, I think.
I think also people in their 20s now are probably never stopped being bullied, possibly on social media, or just always open to it. It's just
that's a scary thought,
it is
isn't
a really scary
it?
thought.
It's really quite a horrible thought to think. I guess particularly people in, you know, who are putting themselves out there, be that, you know, adult industry, celebrities, anyone who's putting themselves out there. Out there, yeah, their lives are, because they are involved in being online, I guess. There is, I think you're probably quite right that there is going to be that higher propensity for being bullied.
I mean, I know that on my personal social media, I've never experienced bullying. Very fortunate, except we only had our social media from, I don't know, it must have been in my 20s. So it's a different group of people then, isn't it? It's not, well, I'll say it's not the playground, but then I think we're always on a playground of sorts.
If you were thinking now about children then growing up with bullying, I mean, I think that is what happens a lot now, that the children aren't necessarily, or they may be bullied in school, but then of course they get home.
Yeah.
And then it's still going on. So there's not even shutting your door and going, right, thank God for that day's over.
And I was thinking when we were discussing with Ari about, you know, she doesn't get much bullying on her dominant account. I remember when I think at the time I just had a FetLife account. Maybe I had Twitter, but didn't really use it. And I was professional dominatrix, and, you know, that's my persona in general, but I would shoot bondage movies where I'd be tied up in rope or whatever, because, you know, it's money and it's acting and it's fun. And I would get abuse from people saying that I wasn't a real dominant because I was doing X, Y, and Z in videos. And, you know, it's called acting. And don't try and pigeonhole me. Don't try and tell me who I am or what I am. But at the time, I was in my 20s. I was a baby dom. I was just finding my way and trying to build my reputation. And I remember getting a little like, I didn't change what I was doing, but you had that sinking feeling.
Did you ever get that sense of, I don't know, that sort of, oh, I'm not getting it right if people are doing that?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. But
which is harsh.
That's
really harsh. Whereas, who are they to say?
And when you're trying to build a persona, you know, whether it's who you are or who you want your character to be, you question yourself, am I doing the right thing then? Should I not be doing this? Should I be, focusing purely on dominant work or, whatever? And it does make you question yourself, particularly when you're starting off in your career. I know even now, you still get, and it's not directed at me, that we've had some people say things about pineapple support. When you are absolutely trying your best to create something to help people and you see certain posts, I got the same kind of anxiety as when it was being directed.
And I guess thinking there, because you are the one that started it, it's very hard for you not to take that personally.
Yeah, of course.
And I think that's the tricky part, is how, for you as the president, of how do you separate that, being the president and the founder, of how that, people, yes, they're saying stuff about pineapple support, but that's not, but it's very hard because pineapple support is your baby.
Yeah, exactly. Really, so it feels like it feels like a personal attack. And I think it brings back memories or feelings from when I was bullied at school. And if anyone can hear the heavy breathing, that is my dog.
So yes, I have some three dogs wanting lots of love at the moment.
No, they are not. They're wanting their dinner.
Okay.
But yeah, I think, I remember being at school and suddenly the girls that I was hanging around with turned on me. And it was that same feeling of, oh God, what have I done? Oh, I've done something wrong, when you haven't, and you can't really, you're trying to figure out what you could do to make it better. And you can't. It's just, yeah.
And so I guess just thinking back to our three guests, and then obviously hearing about Brad talk about his children, which I think was really helpful and interesting to get a parent's perspective of what that's like when your children are bullied. So I think that must be particularly stressful, because is that part of you, how much do you get involved as a parent, and you can't, shock-proof your children. You can't, future-proof them. You can just do as much as you can. You can't wrap them in bubble wrap, but of course as a parent, you would.
But again, as Brad was saying, you need to learn life's lessons, and that was what made him who he is, and know how to respond to these things as an adult. So you want your kids to have that learning experience, but at the same time, you want to protect them. But I know, when I was being bullied, I don't think I spoke to parents or teachers or anything about it. You're in your teens, you think you're an adult, you think you can handle these things on your own.
I don't know actually. I think there's better things online now, which is helpful to think about. There are things perhaps more available to children and teenagers. So even if they're not able to talk to their parents, they might actually Google something and find something like Young Minds, which is in the UK, or there's other organisations, in the States, etc., dealing specifically with bullying. So I think that is always a hope, that there are those resources which are out there, which are much more accessible.
Yes.
Online for young people. And I think schools, I think they are hopefully much better at spotting.
Well, but bullying's more prominent now, and if it's on social media, it's there, it's public, and then that means that there's the option for more people to report it. We did a little campaign with Pineapple, which if you saw someone getting bullied, to comment with something nice underneath. And so if you saw one negative comment, hopefully a lot of people would make positive comments underneath and outweigh and outshine the dullness of bullying. But I think we're always told now to block the person, ignore them. But it's even that in itself is hard, because you want to make sure they're not still talking about you, that they're not still looking at. So you want to keep an eye on their social media, because what if they're still talking about you even though you've blocked them? And
that's a real hook, though, isn't it? I think that then somehow that's got into that's gone in too deep, isn't it? Because it's like the time they're taking up. If you're then checking,
I think it becomes obsessive, doesn't it? But it is all consuming when it gets to that kind of anxiety level, I think.
And then I guess, I mean, of course, I'm not. But the other cross, the perverseness of it all, of course, if someone is out there doing all the work that they're doing with the adult industry and they're not getting the odd comment, I imagine that must feel like, well, why aren't I being noticed sometimes? Something about being bullied is still being. I don't mean that actually. I mean it's like the negative comments. It's almost like that actually. What Ari was saying quite rightly is, unfortunately, it does come with territory.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm making myself particularly clear here, because I'm certainly not saying that bullying is okay, but there's something about, because you're reaching so many thousands and thousands of people, if not millions, then I guess unfortunately then there is going to be the odd.
Yeah. There will always be a negative comment.
There isn't there.
Mm-hmm. And the bigger you get, the more negative comments you're gonna have.
So I guess that's what I'm trying to say in a very candid way, in the sense that the bigger you are, you make it more.
But, you know, we've had in the adult industry, you know, some very well reported cases in the media where performers have said something that could have been misconstrued. Maybe they said in anger, and it's been taken so far that hundreds, thousands of people are all putting negative comments and bullying, and you know, this particular case, which was one of the reasons that I started Pineapple Support, ended with the performer taking her own life.
And this is the thing, isn't it? It can lead to people taking their lives. It can lead to people self-harming. Certainly, you know, it would increase people's anxiety, potentially depression, eating disorders, you know, and people's ability to kind of form positive relationships and feel confident with themselves and others. So,
yeah,
because, and I guess I would imagine, I'm not sure what the research is, but perhaps the younger you're bullied, I wonder if that is more difficult to recover because you haven't got the stronger resources to bounce back.
Or if it's I guess the continual, or, you know, everyone that we've spoken to has had experiences when they were younger, and then I think, you know, it's kind of trailed off, and it's never been, or no one sounded like they'd experienced anything that was particularly harsh. It was a lot of school ground stuff, or, you know, and
emotion. Yeah.
Well, when I say that, I mean, you know, there are kids taking their own lives because of bullying in the playground and online, and it's about resilience as well, isn't it? Again, and I think I guess the support network you have at home. Yeah, I think that's it. When you get resilience, sort of builds up in you from having some structures at home, having some good friends. So even if you are getting bullied as a child, but you have got some friends you can go and talk to and moan about, or that you see actually other children getting bullied by the same bullies, that can actually take some of the weight off because you're not actually alone. Still absolutely horrible. Awful. Absolutely awful. It's something that, you know, is pointless. No one's winning out of it. I think, you know, the people that are doing the bullies, it's all bullying, it's generally a reflection of how they feel about themselves, and this, you know, moves forward into adult life when people make comments about others, and it is usually something they're just feeling unhappy with about themselves. And I would always, I think someone who is a bully, a child who is a bully, again, it's that they're needing support and help as well, because generally there's something that's going on perhaps for them which they're not dealing with. That is one of my dogs with a cough. Now looking very sheepish in the corner. But yeah, it's a topic that you could go into because there are so many different forms. It happens all through life.